let us see about the error control for overcoming the channel losses. There are channel losses, then how we are going to overcome it. So for that we are going to use a error control mechanism. See, this is a third fundamental problem that afflicts the video communication, and that is called the losses. Okay, losses can have a very destructive effect where on the reconstructed video quality. And if the system is not designed to handle losses, even a single bit error can have a catastrophic effect. You take number of different types of losses. You have seen many, right? A number of different types of losses may occur depending on the particular network. You take any network, there is a different kind of losses. So for example, wired packet networks, internet, right? That internet, the wired packet networks are afflicted by packet loss, where the congestion may cause an entire packet to be discarded or lost. So in this case, the receiver will either completely receive a packet in its entirely or completely lose a packet, right? Either it will receive the complete packet or it will lose it. So on the other side, you take a wireless channel, they are typically afflicted by bit errors or burst errors at the physical layer. These errors may be passed up from the physical layer to the application layer as a bit or burst errors. Or alternatively, entire packets may be discarded when any errors are detected in these packets. So therefore, depending on the interlayer communication, a video decoder may expect to always receive a clean packet without any error, or it may receive a dirty packet with errors. The loss rate can vary widely depending on a particular network, and it is also for a given network depending on the amount of cross traffic. There are so much of traffic, right? So based on the traffic also, there will be a loss. So for example, for video streaming over the internet, one may see a packet loss rate of less than 1%, or sometimes greater than 5 to 10%. So video streaming system is designed with the error control to combat the effect of losses. There are four rough classes, four different types of approaches for error control. First one is that retransmission. So again, I'll have to retransmit it, right? The second one is forward error correction, FEC. The third one is error concealment. And the fourth one is error resilient video coding. Look at the first two classes of approach. This can be thought of as a channel coding approaches for error control. Last two are the source coding approach for the error control. So in the subsequent sections, we will discuss about each of the class of approach one by one. Typically, if you take that, video streaming system is typically designed using a number of these different approaches. In addition, joint design of the source coding and channel coding is also very important. Okay, so in the next session, in the next slide, we will see about how the retransmission will control the error. Let's see that. The first method is retransmission. So in a retransmission based approaches, the receiver uses a back channel to notify the sender which packets were correctly received and which were not, and this enables the sender to resend the lost packets. This approach efficiently uses the available bandwidth, in a sense that only lost packets are resent, and it also easily adapts to the changing channel conditions. However, it has got its own disadvantages. Retransmission leads to additional delay corresponding roughly to the round trip time RTT between receiver, sender, receiver, because from receiver the sender is again it has to come to sender, again sender has to send it to receiver. So it is a round trip time, right? That's an extra delay. In addition, retransmission requires a back channel, separate back channel. And this may not be possible or practical in various applications. For example, broadcast, multicast, or point to point without a back channel. This is not possible. In many applications, this additional delay incurred from using retransmission is acceptable. In many applications, these are accepted. So for example, web browsing. You try to click, and if you're not getting it, it will send a signal so that you will wait. It's okay. It's an asynchronous one, so no problem. You'll wait. FTP, file transfer protocol, Telnet. These are all okay. In these cases where guaranteed delivery is required and a back channel must be available. So the feedback-based retransmit provide a powerful solution to the channel losses. The other side, when back channel is not available or the additional delay is not acceptable, then the retransmission is not an appropriate solution at all. There exist a number of important variations on retransmission based schemes. For example, for video streaming of time sensitive data, very time sensitive data, one may use delay constraint retransmission, where packets are only retransmitted if they can arrive by their time deadline, or priority based retransmission, where more important packets are retransmitted before less important packets. These ideas lead to interesting scheduling problems, such as which packet should be transmitted next, kind of thing. See, forward error correction, the second one, right? See, the goal of the forward error correction is to add specialized redundancy bits that can be used to recover from errors actually. So for example, to overcome packet losses in a packet network, one typically uses a block codes. For example, Reed-Solomon or Tornado codes. So that will take k data packets inside and it will send out n number of packets, where n and k of the packets are redundant packets. N minus k are the redundant packets. So it is taking k packets and it is sending out n packets. So n minus k is a redundant packet. So for certain codes, as long as any k of the n packets are correctly received, then the original data can be recovered. On the other hand, the added redundancy increases the required bandwidth by a factor of n by k, right? So instead of, I want to send 100 packets, I will send 105 packets. So the 5 packets are the extra packets. So 105 divided by 100, that is an extra factor, right? Bandwidth requirement. The FEC provides a number of advantages and disadvantages. See, compared to the retransmission, FEC does not require a back channel, and it may provide a low delay since it does not depend on the round trip time of retransmission, right? There is a disadvantage also. A advantage of FEC include the overhead of FEC. Even when there is no losses, we have to add more and more packets, right? And possible latency associated with the reconstruction of lost packets. So most importantly, FEC based approaches are designed to overcome a predetermined amount of loss, and they are quite effective if they are appropriately matched to the channel. If the losses are less than a threshold, then the transmitted data can be perfectly recovered from the received or lossy data. However, if the losses are greater than the threshold, then only a portion of the data can be recovered. And depending on the type of FEC used, the data may be completely lost. Unfortunately, the loss characteristics for packet networks are often unknown and time varying. So therefore, the FEC may be poorly matched to the channel, making it ineffective, too little FEC, or inefficient, we are adding too much FEC. That's it. We have to balance in between. So there are two, in FEC you can find out there are some standards available. One is called ULP FEC. Okay, that is been used in video streaming. Another one is ST20 21. So that is a ST 2021 is a latest FEC. You can refer that, you can learn about it. Next one is the error concealment. The third method is error concealment. The transmission errors may result in lost information, right? The basic goal of error concealment is to estimate the lost information or the missing pixels so that we can conceal the fact that the error has occurred. The key observation is that video exhibits a significant amount of correlation along the spatial and temporal dimensions. This correlation was used to achieve video compression, and unexploited correlation can also be used to estimate the lost information. So therefore, the basic approach in error concealment is to exploit the correlation by performing some form of spatial or temporal interpolation or extrapolation to estimate the lost information from the correctly received data. See, to illustrate, I'll give an example. To illustrate the basic idea of error concealment, consider a case where a single 16 x 16 block of pixel, that is called macro block in a video parlance. Okay, if one block macro block is lost. So this example is not representative of the information typically lost in the video streaming. However, it is a very useful example for conveying the basic concepts. The missing block of pixels may be assumed to have zero amplitude. However, this produces a black square or a green square in the middle of the video frame, which would be highly distracting. You would have seen the square boxes, right? Those are all lost pixels. So three general approaches for error concealment are: the first one is a spatial interpolation. The second one is temporal interpolation. Third one is motion compensated temporal interpolation. So there are three methods. So the goal of spatial interpolation is to estimate the missing pixels by smoothly extrapolating the surrounding correctly received pixels, neighborhood pixels. In the same frame, look at the next neighborhood pixels and then you can apply a filter to find out the loss. So correctly recovering the missing pixels is extremely difficult. However, even correctly estimating the DC value is very, very helpful. The average value. This provides significantly better concealment than assuming the missing pixels have an amplitude of 0, right? Look at the surrounding pixels, take an average, you can keep it as instead of 0, you can keep that value. This is one method. Another one is temporal extrapolation. The goal of temporal extrapolation is to estimate the missing pixels by copying the pixels at the same spatial location in the previously corrected frame, the previous frame. Look at the same area, take the value and then put it there. This approach is very effective when there is a little motion, but problems will arise if there is a significant motion. Now the third one is called motion compensated temporal extrapolation. This is to estimate the missing block of pixels as a motion compensated block from the previously correctly decoded frame. So what happens, it's not in the same position, it will be somewhere else, but we are trying to bring the block and we are going to fit it. So thereby, hopefully, we will overcome the problems that arise from motion. So the key problem in this approach is how to accurately estimate the motion for the missing pixel. The possible approach includes using the coded motion vector for that block if it is available. Use a neighboring motion vector as an estimate of the missing motion vector, or compute a new motion vector by leveraging the correctly received pixels surrounding the missing pixels. Okay, various error concealment algorithms have been developed that apply different combinations of spatial and temporal interpolation. Generally, a motion compensated algorithm usually provides the best concealment, assuming an accurate motion vector estimation, right? This problem can also be formulated as a single recovery or inverse problem, leading to the design of sophisticated algorithms which are used now. Typically iterative algorithms that provide improved error concealment in many cases. See, I told one example, right, where the 16 cross 16 block of pixel is lost. That illustrates many of the basic ideas of error concealment. However, it is important to note that errors typically lead to a loss of much more than a single 16 cross 16 block. For example, a packet loss may lead to a loss of significant fraction of an entire frame. Or for low resolution video, for example, is 176 cross 144 pixels per frame, the entire frame, coded frame, may fit into a single packet, in which case the loss of packet leads to a loss of entire frame. When an entire frame is lost, it is not possible to perform any form of spatial interpolation, as there is no spatial information available, right? All the pixels in the frames are lost, and therefore only temporal information can be used for estimating the last frame. Generally, the last frame is estimated as the last correctly received frame, freeze frame, since this approach typically leads to the fewest artifacts. So the key point about error concealment is that it is performed at the decoder. As a result, error concealment is outside the scope of video compression standards. Specifically, as improved error concealment algorithms are developed, they can be incorporated as a standard compatible enhancements to the conventional decoders only. Next session we'll see about error resilient video coding.